Yo, what up? No, we're back for another episode of Let's Talk Fam. Last time it got a little spicy, a little dicey. When we were not spicy and dicey, but
it probably did.
Yeah, a little spicy and dicey.
Because I'm normally reserved.
Yeah, not spicy and dicey in a bad way. Like it's in a good way. We were talking about letting go.
Yeah.
And we wrestled with like the generational kind of gap that. But I get it though. Like I really do get it. Because we all bring to our experiences of words and things and, you know, realities, whatever kind of way we've experienced life. You know, somebody based on where they come from, they're going to think about a word may hit them a different way than another person. And I think there's something beneficial about being able to have all our different experiences and bring that to the table and lean on those stories to help us in some sense become better in and of ourselves. Not everybody going to enjoy whatever either person say or resonate with it. And some people are really going to do resonate with it. But I think giving people everything that they that we can give them.
Diversity, you know? Right.
Oh, 100%. So today last time we talked about things.
Letting go of things.
Yeah, letting go of things. I think this time, you know, because we said a really good, you know, idea, and thanks to you, you know, letting go of things, letting go of goals, letting go of people and control, and letting go of the past. Today we're talking about letting go of goals, and I'm interested, you know, what was a moment in your life you remember in which you had to let go of a goal or redefine it, and what that taught you about yourself?
Ooh, good question. I don't know, Stu. It may come to me. I just know, like, when we think about goals, they can be an invisible weight, right, that we carry around without noticing them for the most part. So it may be something, I think we had started this, maybe it was something that your parents wanted you to do, and you keep carrying around this, knowing you don't want to do it, right? And you're carrying this around, and it's a weight. It's honestly, it can be a burden too. Or I'm still trying to think about what I had let it go. Or it can no longer align with your aspirations, right? But because you put it out there in the atmosphere, people have heard you say, this is what you're going to do. You feel like you're obligated to still do that. So I'm still thinking.
Yeah, I feel it. That's okay.
Whatever I had to let go. I don't know.
I mean, of a goal. Like was there a goal? I mean, because you work in corporate America, and so we hit like numbers or some sense, or even, you know, we're ministers. So there's like, I remember at one point, you know, I wanted to be a senior pastor.
Really?
Oh my God, yes.
No.
I wanted to. It was around like 2014.
Lord bless you real well.
Nah, for real. It's around like 2014. And I was leading a college group in California. And I really wanted to be a senior pastor. I really, really wanted to. I had it all charted out too.
What changed? Well, let me ask the question.
Yeah.
Do you still want to be a senior pastor?
No, not at all.
So what changed?
Being in ministry. But then also, like, I'm a writer.
You like your hair, don't you?
Hey, if I was a pastor, I would. Oh God, they would be sick of me. Jesus, they're like, "What this boy got on this week?"
You're not gonna keep the hair though. The hair.
Oh no, I'm keeping the hair. Nah. Ain't nobody making. God himself, gonna have to make me get rid of my head. Nah. We ain't getting rid of the head.
Well,
life and time gonna have to make me get rid of the head.
That's what's gonna happen. I'm trying to tell you, most pastors are bald head.
See, you know what?
Listen, I'm sorry. We're gonna stick to the script.
PG. We ain't about to get on our pastor. Say your pastor.
Okay, back to the script.
But I feel it. But not like I think the real goal for me in life is always to do something to change the world. And I've always been that way as a young kid, is to live a very large life. And that's something I'm very unashamed about, is that, you know, I remember for so long as a youngin', I felt like my life was small. Maybe that's because, where I grew up in South Carolina, or it seemed that like when I wanted to have a big life, you know, something or someone somewhere tried to like staunch the life that I believe I deserve. I can even remember as being a young kid and playing drums, because I actually started out as a musician. And I still play drums to this day. And I'll never forget, like, going to the church. I had a key to the church. My old Pentecostal church, Amen Church of Our Lord Jesus Christ in Swansea, South Carolina. And I had a key to the church, and I would go to the church and practice drums all the time. I'm talking about, like, I would just play and play and play and play. And got a chance to play on Sundays. But then when convocation time come around, I never got a chance to play. So it's like, man, every time, you know, I felt like, you know, I was putting in all this work and was not being like visible or whatnot, whether that's like in football or whatever. So I felt like the real thing I wanted to do was like, you know, have a big life and a big caring life and a big meaningful life, and things like that. And I'm just good with people. So I really, you know, I felt like being a senior pastor, and I love to preach. I love preachers too. I love to preach. I love to study the aspect of preaching, just like I study writing and work at it or whatnot. So I like the idea of like caring for people and using my voice and, you know, like making things grow. And
so do you feel, because we don't have to be a pastor to shepherd people.
Oh, 100%. Right? So 100%. Facts. And that's really what changed. That was one of the things that changed for me. It's like, I think at one time I was enamored with the visibility of the senior pastor, the role, enamored with the role. But then I came from playing in front of hundreds of thousands of people. So it wasn't like, it was like I needed a new thing to be enamored by, because once the drop from like being a football player to being out in the real world was drastic and very quick within the span of a few months. And so
that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think, though, sometimes that specific goals can limit your learning abilities, though.
Say more.
I think sometimes you get so inundated with that particular goal that you negate everything else, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but oftentimes we can miss, right, some other learning opportunities because we're so, you know, set on being whatever that goal may be, that sometimes there are some, just like we can miss moments of ministry, right? Miss moments of discipling people because we're so focused on one set thing. I think it's the same thing when we're thinking about even creating our own personal goals, right? Even your, whatever that may be, you can miss learning opportunities because you are so tunnel visioned, right? You don't, sometimes you don't have an open mind to learn new things, right? Because you feel that's not going to benefit you in any area. You know?
No, I get that, because I feel like right now, even as a writer, like I feel like, because being a writer is the first thing in my life that on my own accord actually worked. Like, you know, everything before this moment, you know, it was snatched from me out of my own choice. And I had to figure out how to make this new reality work, you know, had to make this new thing work and pick up the piece wherever I could and, you know, make do with whatever I had. And now as a writer, now that being a writer is my profession, as well as to being a minister here, like these are both the first things in my life I felt that, like, you know, of course, no one is self-made, right?
Thank God you said that.
You know, no one is like self-made, but like in a very real way, both of these things are very much, you know, tied to, you know, the deep sensitivity, hard work, endurance, patience that dwells within inside, you know, and the choices that I made at another area in life to make sure that I put myself in a position that good things can happen, and both of these things actually did work. And I think one of the challenges is that, like, the only reason why I've been able to be who I am right now is because I've been flexible. Like Reverend Dr. Pointer pointed out yesterday, being able to make an adjustment. But I think when those things do work, it's very easy because, like, you're so used to, like, things not working, that when something works, that you think, like, you know, you become so tunnel vision to where, like, you mentally don't create space for other things. So my therapist really got to, like, work with me on that And like my editors be working with me on that as well. Like, hey, bro, like you have nothing to worry about. And that's the thing. See, that's the thing. Honestly, that's the thing that most people actually need, because people work so hard at things because they feel like they got so much to worry about that they would lose it. And I think when people hear like, yo, you got nothing to worry about, there ain't gonna be no loss tomorrow or next week or in a year.
I don't, I'm just going to worry about today. That I'm just going to be, I've just learned to, yesterday took care of yesterday. Today is going to take care of today. I can't even be concerned about tomorrow. I just cannot, because it'll drive me crazy. So I'm only going to focus on what I can do great today. What can I do really well today?
How did you get there? Because I feel like a lot of people say that in theory, that like, yo, you know, we say in theory, like the present moment. But I don't know if in practice people understand like what rituals it takes to get there, what practice does it take to get there. So I'm interested in hearing like, how did you get to that point? You know, because you've lived a significant life, you know, up until this moment. You're over 15, you're over 20, you're over 30, you know, which means that like at these 5-year periods, we always go through these transitions in which we have to reevaluate things and start over or dig deeper. And so that you got to the point at your status, at your age, to say, I've found a way to get to the present moment and only worry about the present moment. I'm very interested in how, like, the things that brought you to that reality, that realization, and the practices that got you there.
I had to grow up, if I can be extremely honest, just to mature in my faith. Because I do believe that oftentimes we have a lot of mouth action, right? Where we are professors of God's word and we don't possess it in our hearts. And I'm speaking for both, right? Let me just say that. What I mean by we just say things, we quote scriptures, and that's good. But do we feel them? Are they in our heart, right? So just for me, when I read it in the word, like I can be concerned about today. And then life just be life and it happens. And when you realize like you have no control over anything for the most part, but I can only live for today. Tomorrow's really and truly going to take care of itself. And just realizing the only thing I can really do is just live for today. When you see so much go on in the world, where you see today someone is up, tomorrow they just may not be up. And you just have to make good on whatever is going on in that particular day. And I'm not going to just say it was the pandemic, but the pandemic did like kind of really and truly just open up your eyes. But I think for myself, it was just maturing, just growing up, and just understanding that honestly, it's not in my control anyway. It just ain't in my control anyway.
Yeah, I was listening actually to an interview with a writer who is up in age now, and they said that like the older I get, because there's this thing called Advice to the Young that I listen to all the time, from the Louisiana Museum of Modern Art in Copenhagen. And they bring together all these artists and architects and filmmakers and just brilliant creatives all over. And many of them, you know, are over 40, you know, some of them are 80. And many of them are well established in their careers as artists, as architects, as designers, as this and that. And one in particular that struck me is that one of the writers, she said, the older I get, the more I'm okay with failure. You know, the more I'm okay with writing bad things. The older I get, the more that I'm okay with, like, I don't have to like correct myself in the moment. I don't have to worry about like just obsess over what if I make a bad choice? What if I do this? What if I do that? What if I don't get this right? You know, I've older I gotten, the less I stop myself when it's time to practice.
I mean, we're talking about goals. So learning to let go of goals is about keeping space in our lives for doing things just for the sake of it, right? So if I am only focusing on a goal only, right? I don't leave space just for the sake of doing things because I'm so focused on doing this. So learning to let go of knowing we're going to make mistakes because we're human. We're going to make mistakes. And I agree with whoever this writer is. As we continue to age, things that were important to us before are just not that important anymore. Lois Evans, Tony Evans' wife, before she passed away, talked about we need to learn how to smell the roses more. What that means is learn how to enjoy life because we only get one life. And if we're and I'm not saying not to have goals, that's not what we're talking about. But if we're only focused on goals, if we're only focused on climbing a corporate ladder, right? Being this rich millionaire, billionaire, whatever, at what point do we really and truly enjoy the life that Jesus died for us to live, this abundant life? When do we really and truly get to enjoy just for the sake of it? I don't want to make it to heaven. And I'm standing before the Lord. And he say, you did good, right? You didn't live though. What happened to you living this abundant life? I don't want to, and I'm just hypothetically saying, I don't think God will say this, but we don't know what he'll say, right? I just want to enjoy this life, right? And I don't want to get inundated and bombarded with just setting goals. And I don't get to enjoy my adult children. I don't get to enjoy my grandson. I don't get to enjoy my nieces, my nephew, my friends, I don't just get to enjoy waking up and saying, I don't want to do anything because I got to chase after this goal that I have. I don't want to do that anymore. I just don't want to.
That's real. And I'm reminded of, thank you for sharing that. I'm reminded of Jesus. Like we know that like there's actually two stories in particular. I'm really in a lot of the gospels that really bless me. I don't know if we think a lot theologically about the humanity, like really honestly about the humanity of Jesus. Like that Jesus was a living, breathing, thinking human being, just like us. And the one of the things that the Bible betrays is a sense of time, because the Bible itself collapses days into words,
right?
Day and night, years into paragraphs, decades into sections. Oftentimes we don't really understand the kind of, the 24 hours that we live. Jesus has those 24 hours. And of course, sure, his life from beginning to end was headed to a certain type of place, was headed in a direction in a certain type of movement. But there is a story that blesses me tremendously where Jesus, he's coming out of one side of the sea to the next, and he's going to a desolate place to be alone. And the Bible says that, everybody who came to him, with a sickness, he healed all manner of their diseases. And then he went on about his way. It's just in passing, right? It was in Mark's gospel in passing, and the thing that blessed me the most was that even when you're on purpose, it's okay to be interrupted.
It's okay.
Like even when then it's with the children, that when the children came up to Jesus plays with the children and he pays attention to them and things like that. Like, kids take time, attention, and energy. And like, they all they demand of us, like Toni Morrison says, she wonders when a child sees you, do their face light up when you walk into a room? And I believe that was the case with Jesus. And I think about so much of our lives is, if we're honest, we're led to believe that like every day is a fight not to lose something. As a former athlete, I really struggle with this. And I imagine that many people who played sports at a high level, in any level in some regard, but especially at a high level, really struggle with this, because most of the times we wake up every day in the morning, we are on a race to outdo ourselves from the previous day. You know, to do that thing well, you have to have a sort of mania about life, to wake up in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, get up and work out at 5, go to class, practice, all these things, continually, just to try and, you know, like make this type of life, you know, you so desperately desire, just the same way that a student, you know, there's no difference between the athlete and the student at school. Both of us care ultimately about certain things. It's just that like our processes and the place that we do those things are much different. The same way the student go to class, the same way we go work out, the same way the student study for tests, the same way we practice for a game, and things like that. And it's like both of us have to have an ultimate sense of like deep desire to grow and make something of the time and the things that we have. And the tough part about it is we get socialized to believe that like, yo, you're losing something. And today you got to show up so that you don't lose. Mm-hmm. And I think now when the years pass, you got to think about it. Somebody go through that for 10 years, 15 years of their life. And then now, you know, at 25, 30, 35, people are like, well, you know, you should have been better at that now. But the thing is, that person may have went into business. That person may have went into entertainment. That person may have, so they back into these high functioning environments in which like there is nothing that alters the psychological processes of today I'm going to lose and I got to figure out a way to fight to get it done. And I think that so many of us need the affirmation that like, yo, it's okay that is your reality. And I do hope that somehow you find grace with yourself and be kind to your process and to take care of yourself so that like when it's time to show up for things that need you the most, that you have the energy to show
Absolutely.
up for those things, even as you putting all your really good energy in like moving things in your own life. Like be kind to yourself, even as you're working furiously to achieve the life that you really believe you deserve.
And you got to start that first, though. In all honesty, being kind to yourself,
100%.
Extending yourself that grace.
100.
And that's a part of letting go as well. That's a part of letting go of control. Just be clear. Just letting go of that control. It's hard in the beginning because that's, you know, we've been conditioned or trained to think that we just have to be this person. Because I wonder, who do we feel like we're letting down for the most part? Is it really ourselves?
I think it's mostly
ourselves. Other people.
I think it's mostly ourselves because I feel like the first word that many of us receive as children is that the person that you are is not enough. And I have to be very careful with this with my son. Ooh. So because the adults in our life, it's honestly,
so let's back up. What did you just say? The first word that we receive is we're not good enough.
Yeah. That like you are a letdown.
Who do we receive that from? I've never heard that.
Oftentimes, many of us, I mean, your experience may be unique, but I think most, if not many, of the human beings that we're around every day at some moment can name at a very critical time in their young life.
Okay.
Where they received the word.
Because when you said the first word, because I think I think it depends on your environment. You're right. So let me say, when you say the first word, I'm thinking of from my parents.
100.
Right. Okay. See, I can attest to that.
100.
Because growing up, we were always told that we were enough. Mm-hmm. Right. From our parents and even in our neighborhood. The people in our neighborhood would just share with us that we were enough. Now, going into school, that was a whole different thing. But I think for me, it was always, even with your gap tooth, right? Your dark skin, people were always affirming because I guess I knew my parents probably felt like the world is going to be cruel. The world is going to be mean, right? So when going to school and hearing negativity, it was like something's wrong with them. Because for me, it was like, I'm good over here, right?
Thanks.
So I hear you. And I do hear you. And I think I made sure to pour into my two children that they were enough, right? That when I say failure is not an option, we just fail forward. right? It didn't work. Let's pick ourselves up and try it again.
Yep.
You know, so I think my heart goes out to any and every person that has received any of those unkind words, because I can understand how that can be instilled in a lot of things that people do if they had that said to them moving forward. The reason why their drive is so strong, why they, go so hard for it versus some other person that may have growing up heard nothing but affirmations, right? Because I'm just going to be clear. I get all the time, why are you so confident? Like you, and this is what people have said, you are a dark-skinned woman with a gap tooth and you got to, you wear your body. Hey, it is what it is. So letting go of the stereotypes of what people have said about darker-skinned women, right? That's what they feel, that's what they say. But I just think for myself, Stu, letting go for me was much easier when I realized I really and truly don't have that control anyway. As a believer, we say everything belongs to him. We really got to, So I don't want to be so super spiritual because I know we got to get off in a minute. But letting go for me really and truly was a matter of I'm not even in control anyway. Nothing I have, nothing I'm going to do really and truly belongs to me. So what can I do with today? And that's pretty much it. Like, why do I care? I wrote why do I care about whatever, this item? Why do I care about this goal? Why do I care about a rule that somebody else has made? Why do I care about this relationship? Why do I care about this memory? So some of those things I had to just realize, like, some of this I need to let go. If it's not serving me today, right? And it may not ever serve me again. Some type of way, I got to find a way to let it go.
Oh, 100. And I think when we let go, we're giving power back, right?
Absolutely.
Because I think, and I wish, back to what you were saying, I wish that was the experience, that is the experience of most human beings. I wish that the first word they receive is a word of affirmation. I wish that, like, at critical moments in their lives, whether from church or home or friends, that, it was just wrapped in like kindness and belief and deep belief that in which, like, to believe in yourself is the norm. And I wish that was the case. And I think so many people, like, we got to figure out a way how to let go of those things as well. That's been one of the biggest revelations of therapy lately, is like, the mind is a powerful thing, right? And the mind, even though the mind locks away, the mind never truly forgets. And I think one of the greatest revelations is, like, you can't take that away. We was actually talking about this because somebody I was talking to recently was like, yo, why not just pray it away, right? Why not? And I get it. Some people really believe, that you can pray certain things away. And me and my therapist, we were talking. It's like, we only experience God here, truly, in our perception, that, like, we read, we experience God's goodness. But the way we make sense of all of that and interpret it is in our mind. The tough part is, even prayer is in our mind, because even as we're closing our eyes, we're thinking about a connection. Of course, a bodily thing is happening, but we're thinking on the word, or we're imagining God. We're doing all these things when we pray, just so that to feel a sense of connection. The problem is, the same place we pray and experience God is also the same place we experience pain, experience trauma, experience bad things. And so before we can ever get to that place to feel as if, like, we can pray it away, there's all of these things that, like, are hindering us. That's roadblocks. That's why so many people, I think when they say they don't sense a closeness to God, that may very well be true. But I think the idea is that there's so much in between where I'm at right now and where I want to experience God in my mind and in my life, we put these beads out in front of us, right? Me and my therapist put beads out in front of us. It's like, to get to that point you really want to be at, you can't get rid of the beads in the middle. It's impossible. And we would be fooling ourselves that like we can ultimately like let things go or ultimately get rid of things. No, what we need to simply do is find a way to take the beads and move them a little bit.
Yeah.
In order that we can get to where we want to go. And I think that's sometimes where meditation comes in at. That's where prayer comes in at. That's where friendships and community. That's where medication comes in at. All these things. It's just simply to get us to the point where we can move some things out the way so that we can achieve the full, liberating, affirming life that we so truly desire. And I'm just thinking about the person right now who has a lot of stuff in the middle. And they find it hard to let go of the goal because the goal is so important. And it will give them a sense of like meaning, power, and purpose. I want to affirm that that's a great thing to have. And we have to find a way to push things little by little out the way so that like we don't live in like a sort of like depression that we don't have what we want. And that to find little practices every day to affirm what you already know about yourself to be true. And to reevaluate your place in relationship to your goal and make sure that like the goal that you're desiring for yourself is a goal that's going to at least legitimately make you happy.
Yeah. I guess as we close, and just the question of why do I care about this goal? Like everything starts with a why for the most part, but just asking yourself, why do I care about it? Answer it, right? And if you can't really legitimately answer it, then but I agree. We don't want to excuse people. We want people. We should have goals, but sometimes some things will stand in the way. So letting go, can be hard to do. But oftentimes it's something that we do need to do, and whatever it is that we need to let go of, not necessarily goals, but even when we think about people, sometimes that's important. And I don't believe in ending relationships for the most part. I don't. We just are in different seasons or different stages of our life. So you may not be in my inner circle anymore, but we still will have some sort of relationship. So just learning how to let go of what was and what it is now, that's important too. Yep.
Let go.
Let go
of goals so that better ones can be found. We don't just want you to throw it away just because, reevaluate. We'll be back with our next iteration of letting go of control.
Oh, we're going to talk about it again?
We should. I think we should go through all of them because it's really good.
Oh, okay.
Or we should move on.
We'll see.
Maybe.
Don't hold us to that.
I like it here. It's cool. All right, y'all. Take care. Peace. Be blessed. Hearts. We love you.